Welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and hello if you're new. So at the end of last year, we played Christmas Crochet Bingo, which I thoroughly enjoyed doing. It was a good time, and ever since that finished, I have been planning the next entry into the Crochet Bingo series, Easter Crochet Bingo. Unfortunately, because I've had to limit the amount of time I can crochet for these last several weeks, Easter Crochet Bingo is just not going to happen this year, which is disappointing. I was really looking forward to it. But even if I can't play Easter Crochet Bingo, I still wanted to do something, some sort of Easter crochet challenge to sort of, celebrate the occasion. And while I was in the middle of a brainstorming session, my nibblings made their yearly request for Easter amigurumi, and I was like, hang on a minute, I can use this. And so the idea for this year's Easter challenge was born. Behind me here, I have a little ceramic rabbit holding a basket, and inside the basket we have these eggs. Inside those, my nibblings have each left me a request. Apparently, there is a written request, but also a picture. My youngest nephew has informed me that he has drawn dinosaurs instead, which, I mean, fair. I probably would have done the same. But awesome dinosaur pictures aside, what I will need to do is choose an egg at random, open up the prompt inside, and then crochet an amigurumi to match that prompt. Now, because I have had a number of medical issues and I still really need to strictly maintain my crochet schedule and my sort of computer usage just so I don't have another bad flare up. These challenges are going to be quick and small projects. I really would have liked to attempt a larger challenge like I did before Christmas, but my health has got to come first. Before I choose my first prompt here, I just want to let all my patrons know, if you are a member of the Yarn Horde, I did make all of you your own personal Easter Crochet Bingo card. I'm going to trip over that so many times. Easter Crochet Bingo card. So if you'd like to play Easter Crochet Bingo for yourself, you will have access to your bingo card as well as the prompt spinning wheel. So if you're a member of the Yarn Horde, go check out the Patreon page. All those links and downloads will be there for you. Okay, first prompt. Oh, I'm going to pop Bunny over here. Actually, no, you guys better off seeing this. So I'm going to pick out the blue egg from right on the top here. What has this? These eggs have gotten glitter absolutely everywhere. There is a trail of glitter through my home. Look at this, the glitter is going everywhere. I'm regretting this already. Okay, let's not worry about the glitter. Let's open up my first egg, see what the prompt is. And we have flower. And my nephew has also written his name. Carter, that was not part of the assignment. You failed. Nah, you didn't. But our first prompt for Easter, I was going to say Easter Bingo, but we're not really playing that, are we? Our first prompt for this specific Easter challenge, or whatever it's called, is flower. I will need to grab out some yarn that I can make some sort of flower thing from. I'll be back in a sec. I have here some green and just a couple of colours that I can make flowers from. I'm actually quite low on green yarn because I've used the majority of it up in this and in this. This probably isn't the first shade of green I would have gone with if I'd had more choice, but really my only alternative at the moment was this sort of neon green, which didn't quite match the spring vibes I was going for. So I'm going to stick with this one. Now, the easiest thing I could probably do in this situation is to just simply make a flower, maybe a tulip or a daffodil or something, though I picked the wrong colours if I wanted to do a daffodil. But I am instead going to do something else. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. You'll just have to wait and see what I come up with, or probably guess within the first 5 minutes of me crocheting this. I'll just have to get set up first, make sure I got my second camera going. And by second camera, I do mean my sister's phone, which she has very graciously allowed me to borrow again. I think we're all set up. I've had to bring in this light nice and close. So if my face looks like the bloody moon, it's just a white orb, please excuse that, but I don't know, my crocheting is more interesting than my face anyway. And I'm going to crochet with this first, and then I'm going to add flowers last. So I won't be crocheting flowers into the green section just yet. And the technique I'm going to be using here is actually a pattern from, it was either that, or maybe I used it in both. But it's just like a basic little vine pattern. So you just chain however many you want, or get your hook tangled and then have to restart. I would advise skipping that bit if you can. So we just chain as many as you like. And then you just pick a chain, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't really matter, but back down the chain. You're going to go into that chain and slip stitch, and then keep on chaining. So chain for either the same or a random amount again. Then go back down your chain again for the same or a random amount. It doesn't have to be the exact same number all the time. And then continue chaining. And then I'm just going to continue this chaining and then slip stitching back into my chain until my little vine / leafy thing here reaches the length that I want for my project. Alrighty, I'm going to stop there for a sec because I want to test out the length of this thing. Grab my stitch marker. And then I can use the camera to do this, I think. And my head is going to be a little bit bigger than my nephew's. I want to add a little bit more length to this because I would like it to wrap around maybe 4 or 5 times total. So let's get that off my head. And continue chaining and slip stitching. Alrighty, let's do check number 2. You know what? I think that works. I think that works. Alright. Now if I can get this off without it unraveling, that would be great. Excellent. I did not expect that to work. What I might actually do is crochet around until I reach the first end, and then I'll join those 2 ends together, but I'll also work through all the other rows just to keep them together like this. That's the plan. That is the plan. Whether or not that'll work out in practice remains to be seen, but we're going to try it. Might have overshot there a little bit, but that's okay. I'll just chain a couple here. And we can join. Best way to join? I think I'm going to try and work through each of my vines here. So go into the first chain that I did, the original first chain, and then I'll work through all these other chains that my stitch marker has been pushed into. Grab that one, and grab that one. I think I've got them all, but I will slip stitch, join them all together. How is that? Just to be extra cautious, extra safe, I'm going to add another couple of slip stitches. Get rid of you because you're just in my way. I think that's mostly secure, and my 2 ends, I might just tie those off anyway. I haven't created the second end yet, that's why I can't find it. Oh God, Lee, what are you doing? So cut this one off. Now I can pull up with my hook and tie these two ends off. And I might leave those hanging there so I know that that's the back of the piece. But this is what we've got so far. How does it look? Now I will just need to add myself some flowers. But before I do that, I'm just going to take a quick break. A couple of stretches, and then I'll come back and make some just basic flowers that I can attach to the front here. Break time over. I have decided I will add 3 large flowers, 1 in each colour, but then sprinkled in between those, I'm just going to add some smaller cream flowers, which I think, I don't know, might balance it out, might look nice. So I'm going to start off with my 3 big flowers. I will crochet each of them in a different size hook just so they're not all uniform. So I've got my 5mm hook, my 4.5 and my 5.5. Sitting here is no longer working for me, so I'm going to stand up for this one. Move the stool out the way. So I'm just going to be hanging out back here. The headless crocheter. Let's start off with a nice purple, I think, just because it's the first yarn that I grabbed. Alrighty, all my coloured flowers are crocheted. No, they don't look much like flowers at the moment, but they will when I've finished with them. For this next step, all I need is my needle. And then we start rolling the flowers up from the non-slip stitch end, so the opposite end here. And sew all these layers together. The trick here is to make sure you get your needle through all the layers, because if you don't, your flower will unravel, which is kind of annoying. Once you've either sewn or glued it down to a project, for the middle to just spring on out. And boom, we have ourselves a flower. I'm just going to repeat the process on these 2 now. That's my big coloured flowers done. I just want to make a few, probably half a dozen small cream ones. What's the best way to make a quick flower? Probably to start off with a magic circle, and then I might just do like a slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, then slip stitch again, and repeat that maybe 5 times. That seems simple enough. All right, let's see how my plan goes. So we'll start with a magic circle, and then slip stitch, single crochet, half, single, and slip stitch. So that's sort of 1 petal, and if I repeat that 4 more times, so go single, so there's my little flower. That light is way too bright for the cream yarn. It doesn't look too bad, but the petals aren't really very defined. But I think for my purposes, that's okay. I might even try one replacing the half double crochet with a double crochet. That might give the petals a bit more definition. But I'll leave this one for now. That's usable. I'm not gonna frog that. Okay, so I just make myself about 5 more of those, I think. And that'll do for now, but I can always add more later. I used double crochet rather than half double that time, and that does have a little bit more definition. So I think I'm going to stick with the double crochet. 2 down, 3, 4 to go. I can count. There are so many yarn ends everywhere that everything's just getting tangled, but I have now all the bits that I need to complete my flower project. The question now becomes, what is the best way to attach the flowers to this? Do I just tie them on using the yarn tails I've left? Because sewing them is going to be a little bit difficult. I mean, I can attach them to the chain, but that's probably not the securest method. I could glue them on, I suppose. Or perhaps I could use a combination of those techniques. So I may start by first tying off my flowers to the front of this thing. Then I might try and weave in the ends through the chains or the leaves. And if they're still flopping around all over the place after that, I might consider adding a little bit of glue. One step at a time, okay? We're going to take this one step at a time. So this is the front. And I want to attach my flowers like so, and then I'll spread the white ones out in between those. So some on the outside, some on the inside, like that. I think that'll look okay. But more importantly, I think my nephew will think it'll look okay as well. And hell, if he doesn't want it, I'll wear it. I might stick with the blue one first, just because I want that sort of not centered, not directly centered, but in the center somewhere. So we'll start with you. And I want to pop you maybe here. So I'm not going to work through all the chains. I want to leave a couple of them free flowing so they can do their own thing. And then I'll get this one. And I'll leave the ends for now because I'll attach the other coloured flowers in the same manner, and then I'll probably weave in all the ends. Or alternatively, like I said before, I will add a bit of glue. So let's get those attached. When I attached the flowers, I didn't work through all, was it 4 or 5 layers of the vines? So there's the worry that when I put this on my head, the flowers are just gonna flop forward. So let's try that before I do anything else. If I put this on my head, the pink one might be flopping a little bit, but for the most part, I don't think that's too bad. I think that's actually okay. You know what? I might just go ahead and skip straight to the glue, because I really don't know how I'm going to be able to weave through these chains without the colour showing through, and I don't really want that to happen. And I think I'm just going to glue these straight on as well, just to save me faffing about with all those ends as well. I'm just going to glue them straight on because these are much, much lighter than these big coloured flowers, so I'm not too concerned with the weight, you know, pulling them off the vines. First things first, got to get my glue gun out. While I was waiting for my glue gun to heat up, I took care of all my, that's not straight, I took care of all my yarn ends, because this glue gun is really good, but it takes forever to heat up. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue behind each of these large coloured flowers. And now we can play a game of how many times will Lee burn herself on this glue gun. It's got to happen at least twice. At least twice. Right, there's those. I want to let that dry properly first before I put the white flowers on, because I can foresee this glue just touching everything else and just getting hot glue everywhere. Don't want that, so I've just got to be patient and wait a few minutes. Wait over, the glue is touch dry at least, so that's fine. Now I need to figure out the best positioning for my little white flowers. Let's start, because we've got 4 possible spots we can go. We can go on the outside of the pink and the purple, and then on the inside between the blue and the outside colours. So we're going to have one there, one there, one there, and one there. It's just a matter of where I stick these two. And as I said, if I want more white flowers or cream flowers at some point, I can always add those. Right, we'll start on the inside. There's the first burn. There's the first burn. I knew I couldn't go a whole project without burning myself at least once. And there's the second. Second straight after the first. Excellent work. And there's burn 3. Ow. So hopefully they're all secure now. I am going to let this dry properly beyond just touch dry because I'm going to put it on my head next. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really want hot glue in my hair. That does not sound like a good time. So I'm going to let that dry properly and then I'll bring you guys back and we can have the reveal. So what do we think? I reckon, personally, it could use a few more of the little white flowers, but for like a quick last minute Easter project, I reckon it looks pretty good. So I am quite happy with it. We will have to wait and see what my nephew's verdict is. But as I said before, if he doesn't want it, I'll have it. Although to be completely honest, if he doesn't want it, one of my nieces will probably end up with it because I can foresee them liking this style. If you're at all interested in any of the patterns I make during this series, they will all be available on my Patreon after this challenge. For the original designs, I'll be making new patterns, but for some of the patterns, such as this one, where I've basically reused parts from old patterns, I'll just link to those original ones. I think I mentioned earlier in this video, the vines and the flowers were part of the pattern for the moss wall here, so they are already available. For the smaller flower pattern, I will probably put that down in the description just because I don't think it's worth making an entire written pattern for something that's, what, 25 stitches total, so I'll just pop that down in the description if you'd like to make your own. Before we finish up here, we are going to do... And today's featured creator on the hookup is actually really appropriate. I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but the way I choose the hookup participant for that week is just by picking a random number. I can see the number of responses I've had to the hookup, and when I sit down to record it, I will just pick a number between 1 and, you know, whatever number of responses I have at the moment. And that's the person I select. I just thought that was the fairest way, but the number I picked at random this time has landed me with the creator, the Rotten Rabbit Cafe. Rabbit, Easter, I think that's a good choice. Or, having read the description now, I think Halloween could have been a good choice too. But anyway, our featured creator is the Rotten Rabbit Cafe, and she says, I am an amigurumist and I sell creepy and cute gothic fantasy critters. That sounds really cool. So please go and give the Rotten Rabbit Cafe a like, a follow, all that good social media stuff. If you would like to apply to the hookup for yourself, there is a link to a Google form down in the description. Thank you once again for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it, share it if you think it's worth sharing, and I will see you all tomorrow with the next video in this series, and I hope to continue this for as long as possible. I'll see you all then.